Greetings, fellow time travelers. Welcome back to Treasures of History, where we uncover the hidden mysteries of lost civilizations and dive deep into the secrets that shaped our world. I'm your archaeological guide, ready to take you on the most mind-bending journey we've ever attempted on this channel. Picture this scene with me. You're standing on the Giza Plateau in Egypt, under the scorching desert sun. At first glance, it seems like just another open-air museum, filled with tourist buses and camera clicks. But if you stop, if you truly listen, you'll hear something else entirely. A haunting silence that doesn't come from above, but from deep within the earth itself. A whisper from the past that's been trying to tell us something for thousands of years. Today's discovery will challenge everything you thought you knew about ancient Egypt, the Great Sphinx, and perhaps the entire timeline of human civilization. Before we unveil these incredible archaeological treasures, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Trust me, you don't want to miss the ancient mysteries we're about to reveal. At the heart of this investigation stand three massive pyramids, architectural marvels that point to the heavens with mathematical precision that still puzzles modern engineers. But the main witness to this ancient crime scene lies at their feet. He faces east, toward the exact point where the sun rises on the spring equinox. His body, the body of a lion, symbol of primal power. His head, the head of a man, symbol of intelligence. But his face has been erased by time, and perhaps not by time alone. The Great Sphinx of Giza, the largest statue ever carved from a single piece of stone. The official story is simple, elegant, and logical. We're told this colossal monument was carved during the 4th dynasty of the Old Kingdom, around 2558 to 2532 before Christ. Pharaoh Khafre, builder of the second largest pyramid, supposedly ordered its construction. His face, they assure us, is immortalized in stone. Its purpose seems clear as daylight, guardian of the necropolis, spiritual protector of this city of the dead. But here's where this neat theory starts to crack like an ill-fitting coffin lid. What if this accepted narrative isn't the result of scientific discovery, but the result of a conscious decision? A decision to simplify, to make the answer fit, and perhaps to hide something so fundamental that revealing it would threaten to bring down the entire edifice of modern historical understanding. The investigation into this mystery begins with a simple question that no one dared ask out loud in the halls of the Cairo Museum for decades, but which has been whispered among independent researchers, geologists, and engineers. What is the Great Sphinx hiding not on its surface but in its depths? For decades, any attempt to obtain official permission for serious scientific research, whether for excavation, drilling, or using modern geophysical equipment, crashed against an impenetrable wall. For decades, this wall was embodied by one man, Dr. Zahi Hawass, former head of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities. With unwavering confidence, he repeated the mantra.
There are no secret chambers beneath the Sphinx. These are delusions. Any attempt to dig would be vandalism that would destroy Egypt's greatest heritage.
But why? Why this aggressive, almost panicked response to simple scientific curiosity? Archaeologists around the world constantly excavate at the base of ancient structures. Why here, at the most mysterious place on our planet, is science compared to vandalism? To understand what they fear discovering, we must travel back to the first half of the 20th century, to a man who was neither an archaeologist nor a historian. His name was Edgar Cayce, a humble photographer from Kentucky, but the world knew him by another name, the Sleeping Prophet.
I possessed an astounding ability. By entering a deep trance, I could access information that, well, seemed impossible to reach under normal circumstances. I performed thousands of accurate medical diagnoses for people I had never met, predicted the beginning and end of both world wars, and even foretold the stock market crash of 1929.
During one of his readings in the 1930s, Cayce began speaking about Egypt. What he said didn't fit any historical framework known at the time.
I claimed that long before the pharaonic civilization around 10,500 before Christ, There existed on Earth a highly advanced civilization known from legends as Atlantis. According to me, the Atlanteans possessed knowledge and technology that, honestly, surpassed our own. They understood physics at a level that allowed them to control gravity, use crystal energy to generate light and power, and travel in flying machines. Anticipating a global catastrophe that would destroy their continent, the Atlanteans took steps to preserve their knowledge for future generations.
3 main repositories were created, 3 halls of records around the world.
One was located in a sunken continent in the Bimini area, the second in the Yucatan Peninsula in Maya lands. The third, and most important and complete, was built in Egypt. I pinpointed its location in the bedrock beneath the right front paw of the Great Sphinx. I described the hall as a library built using imperishable technology. Inside, there weren't perishable papyri, but eternal information carriers, engraved metal plates and crystals capable of storing images and sounds, complete records of human history spanning hundreds of thousands of years, scientific treatises describing forgotten technologies, and most importantly, the spiritual laws connecting humanity to the universe.
Cayce predicted this hall would be opened at the end of the 20th century, between 1996 and 1998, marking the beginning of a new era for humanity, an age of awakening and enlightenment. For half a century, Cayce's words remained the domain of esoteric researchers. But in the 1980s, something happened that made them take these predictions with frightening seriousness. And it didn't start with mysticism, but with pure science, with geology.
My name is John Anthony West. As an independent researcher, writer, and mathematician, I devoted my life to studying Egyptian civilization. I drew attention to a detail that thousands of Egyptologists had seen but never truly noticed: the erosion of the Sphinx. The official theory claimed that this monument, carved from relatively soft limestone, had been damaged by wind and desert sand, what's called aeolian erosion. This leaves distinctive traces, horizontal grooves, layers worn away at the base, and sharp angles cut by wind. But after studying the Sphinx, and especially the walls of the enclosure from which it was carved, I saw a completely different picture. Deep vertical grooves running from top to bottom, rounded integrated forms, as if the stone had been eroded by water for centuries. This was classic hydroerosion, traces left not by sandstorms, but by heavy, prolonged rainfall. To ensure my theory didn't remain just a hypothesis, I made a pretty bold move. I approached Dr. Robert Schoch, professor of geology at Boston University and expert in rock weathering, and invited him to Egypt. Schoch had no connection to alternative history and was, honestly, skeptical of my idea. He came to Giza as a specialist to either debunk or confirm this hypothesis based on precise scientific data. He took samples, analyzed them, and compared the weathering features of the Sphinx with other structures on the plateau whose dating was clear and unambiguous. His verdict, announced at the annual conference of the Geological Society of America, shocked academic circles. Schoch's conclusions were clear and unambiguous. The erosion pattern on the body of the Sphinx, especially on the walls of the surrounding trench, was the inevitable result of long-term exposure to rain, not wind and sand, but heavy rainfall.
But here's the scientific bombshell. The climate of the Giza Plateau became as dry as it is today, thousands of years before the reign of Pharaoh Khafre. The last extended period of heavy rainfall in this region ended no later than 4000 or 3000 before Christ. The geological evidence was overwhelming that the Sphinx had been carved long before this climatic change. Its minimum age wasn't 4,500 years, but at least 7,000 years, and most likely, given the depth of erosion, 10 or even 12,000 years. It was contemporary with the age Edgar Cayce had spoken about, a monument that survived the Great Deluge. The scientific establishment's reaction was predictable. A storm of criticism descended upon Schoch and West. They were accused of pseudoscience and sensationalism. Zahi Hawass publicly mocked their conclusions, declaring that these geologists understood nothing about archaeology. But none of the critics could refute the main argument, the geological facts. Instead of scientific discussion, they resorted to administrative resources. Robert Schoch was banned from visiting the monument. The subject of water erosion of the Sphinx became taboo, but it was too late. The genie was out of the bottle. In the early 1990s, with growing interest in this topic, the American ARE Foundation managed to obtain permission for non-invasive geophysical research around the Sphinx. A team led by geophysicist Thomas Debicki arrived in Egypt. Their method was simple. They placed geological sensors on the ground, then created small sonic vibrations by striking a metal plate with a heavy hammer. By analyzing the timing and nature of the reflected sound waves, they could map underground densities, revealing any hidden voids or anomalies, like an ultrasound scan of the planet.
We worked for several weeks, systematically covering the area around the Sphinx with our instruments. The results of our work exceeded all expectations. Exactly where Cayce had predicted, between and beneath the front paws of the monument, the instruments recorded a major anomaly. This was clear, unambiguous evidence of an artificial cavity, perfectly rectangular in shape, dimensions approximately 9 meters by 12 meters, at a depth of about 8 meters below the bedrock. Nature doesn't create such things. It was a chamber, a hall of records. But this wasn't everything. Our team discovered several other anomalies, resembling narrow tunnels extending from this chamber in different directions, including toward the Great Pyramid. It wasn't just a hall, but an entire underground complex. It's worth noting we weren't the first. In 1987, a team from Waseda University in Japan, using advanced ground-penetrating radar, discovered voids beneath the Sphinx, including a cavity beneath the left paw and a tunnel leading to Khafre's pyramid. Now, with Debicki's results, the evidence was overwhelming.
What should have been world-shattering news was instead buried. As soon as the preliminary reports reached the Egyptian authorities, permission to continue work was immediately withdrawn. Debicki's team was ordered to pack their equipment and leave the country. The official statement claimed the data was inconclusive, likely resulting from natural cracks in the rock. But what natural crack could be perfectly rectangular with perfectly right angles? An indefinite ban was imposed on any further exploration in the area. But there's other evidence that official science prefers to ignore. Most notably what's called the Inventory Stela. This artifact was found in Giza in the 19th century by Auguste Mariette in a small temple beside the Great Pyramid. Inscribed on the stela is text stating that Pharaoh Khufu, builder of the Great Pyramid, ordered the construction of this temple in honor of the goddess Isis. But the most shocking aspect of this text is the phrase stating that the Sphinx itself and the Great Pyramid already existed long before Khufu. The text explicitly states that Khufu found these structures, he didn't build them, but merely restored them. This is a direct ancient document that refutes the entire official chronology.
What did Egyptologists do? They simply declared it a late forgery, created by priests of the 26th dynasty, 2,000 years later, to glorify their temple. This systematic concealment of truth is what led to the birth of what we'll call the Heritage Project. It's not an organization or institution, it's a secret society, a network of like-minded individuals spread around the world. It includes engineers from Silicon Valley, financiers from Wall Street, historians expelled from universities for their heretical views, and even former intelligence officers expert in covert operations. They're united by a firm belief that the secret of the Sphinx is of paramount importance and cannot be left in the hands of politicians and dogmatic scientists. They decided to do what no one else dared, bypass official restrictions and search inside the Hall of Records. The preparation took nearly 10 years. It was an operation inspired by spy novels, acting like a secret intelligence service planning a mission in enemy territory. They acquired the latest equipment with money from anonymous sponsors who shared their goals. A compact drilling platform using ultrasonic cavity technology, capable of drilling through rock in almost complete silence. A flexible fiber optic probe equipped with ultra-high-definition cameras, laser scanners, and a suite of sensors. All this was imported into Egypt in parts under the guise of geological exploration equipment for oil fields. In parallel, work was underway to create an extremely detailed three-dimensional map of the Plateau's underground space, using data from spy satellites capable of conducting microgravimetric surveys. They assembled this data with Debicki's old seismic charts and results from Japanese and French expeditions. As a result, a complete picture of the underground complex appeared on their screens. They saw not only the main hall but also a network of connecting tunnels. They found their target, the entry point. A small, ordinary outbuilding away from the main tourist routes. According to their calculations, One of the ventilation or technical channels leading to the main hall passed beneath it. The final and most difficult element was their man in Cairo. Finding him took many years. Not a corrupt official, but a patriot loyal to Egypt, a high-ranking security officer in the Ministry of Antiquities, who had felt throughout his life that his country's official history was a lie and was tired of being its guardian. They set up their operation point, verified with meticulous precision. Their target wasn't the chamber itself, but the narrow technical channel above it that they'd seen in the scans. It was safer and quieter.